Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Hey. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the majors. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the majors. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting, and the host of this podcast. And thank you. Welcome to the Strive to Thrive series finale of Real Conversations with Michelle. And tonight, we're covering a topic that I will say falls under the umbrella of careers, but the topic is passion-driven purpose. Oh, what a feeling. And I am so excited about my guests who will be on this evening. But before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about me for those who are new to my platform. I am a life career executive coach. I have recently retired. I should say recently. Actually, it's been 23, so I guess it ain't so recent. But retired in 23, 37 years as a HR professional, 14 years with an investment bank, and 23 years with a global pharmaceutical company. So I started this podcast in 2020, and for those of you who were dealing with what I was dealing with then, we were dealing with the pandemic, COVID pandemic, as well as some social unrest during that time. And my podcast was a way for me to connect with individuals and provide support in a different way, which all of us were doing at that time, which was virtually. So I am excited to be here, going on 5 years now. But a couple of things I want to just also mention. This is an educational podcast. So like all educational, anything educational, make sure you do your homework. People are speaking from their heart, from their experiences. So just make sure you do your own homework to ensure that whatever you're hearing tonight in terms of feedback people are giving in terms of their journey and what they would recommend and suggest really makes sense for you. All right. So, with that said, I'm going to start introducing my guests. And first up, I'm going to bring up Miss Tiffany Bargman. Hey, Tiffany.
Hello.
Hello. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, including your passion and what you have uncovered as your purpose?
Absolutely. First, thank you for having me on your podcast. This is my second time, and I love a good conversation, so I'm here for this. Tiffany
Yes.
Barton. I am a forward progress strategist, author, and coach. And by day, I'm a business analyst. And every other waking hour, I am a strategist. So whether that is in a small business, which is Tiffany Bargman LLC, Forward Progress Consulting, or with my church, I am always thinking of strategies of ways to do things systematically so that there is no waste. So my
Yes.
passion is moving forward, helping other people move forward through preventing waste. If there is any type of waste, whether it's money, time, steps, words, love, anything that is valuable, any resource is valuable, if I can help prevent waste of that, then I have done my job and I can sleep well at night.
Yeah,
So,
you have been a great partner to me unofficially through our impromptu meetups and just talking about business. And you're very passionate about helping entrepreneurs,
it's
bring their best self forward as well. So I really appreciate you. Next up, Mr. Ty McDuffie. You ready, Ty? I'm bringing you up next.
Hey Michelle, how's it going?
Hey, Ty, also a second time guest. Tell people a little bit about yourself, passion, and purpose as well.
Sure. I think, well, first of all, my name is Ty McDuffie. I'm the founder of an organization called Griot and Grits. We're a nonprofit dedicated to preserving Black family history. And I think my passion has always been connecting people.
Yeah. Did you just freeze on us? Oh, you said connecting people. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Thank you. Ty, we've known each other, you, me, and Tiffany and Chris have known each other probably
Yeah.
and Adia have known each other the longest, but I
Mhm.
so appreciate you and what you
Oh, thank
bring
you.
to the table. So thank you. Next up,
Thank you.
I'm going to bring Shalaya. Shalaya, ready?
Always.
Hey,
Hey.
tell the audience about yourself, Shalaya.
Absolutely. Shalaya Morissette. Don't mess it up. It's basically Princess Leia with a sh, but my mom did it phonetically. So it's if you're a Star Wars fan, that is not it. It's just a phrase that I use so that people don't ruin my name. I've been in the energy industry for about 13 years now. Really, my passion is educating people and exposing them to opportunity in all walks of life. But daytime gig, I am the Vice President of Partnerships and Strategic Initiatives for the largest female minority-owned company in energy in the nation, and it's called Walker Miller Energy Services. At night, I've launched a coloring book featuring the amazing women I know in this industry for young people and adults. There is an adult version, and the company.
I got the book. I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yes.
It's called Becoming a Chiefess, and that name is significant, and we can talk about it, but it's the female version of chief that we use so often, but no one says chiefess, and I am one, and you are one, Michelle and Tiffany, and the other amazing women here.
I appreciate you, and all three of you are authors. So Tiffany, you launched your first book this year, correct? Yeah. And so, and Ty, I still have Daddy's Little Girl, so appreciate that. Daddy's doing
Awesome.
hair. Daddy's
Yeah.
doing hair. Yes.
I was gonna roll with it though.
Yeah. I've said Daddy's Little Girl because the next person I'm bringing up is none other than Mr. Christopher Terrell. Hey, Chris.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
How are you? How are you?
Good. Introduce yourself, Chris, and including your passion and your purpose.
Absolutely. My name is Christopher Terrell. I'm a singer and songwriter by passion. However, I've been in finance for more than 20 years. I started out working on Wall Street as a file clerk, and they believed in me and put me on, trained me, and that's how I really got into finance. I left Wall Street and had an opportunity to come back to North Carolina, to my home in Raleigh via Credit Suisse, the investment bank. So I was an AVP there. And my passion again is music. That's how I started. That's why I moved to New York back in the early 90s. And I think my passion just isn't the music side, where I love to sing and write. It's really touching others and being a blessing to everyone else. So I love to be able to encourage and inspire people. So that's really my main passion right there.
And you do it wonderfully, Chris. You do it
Thank
wonderfully.
you.
So I
Thank you.
appreciate you. Next up,
I appreciate you.
Adia. Hey,
Hi. Hello,
how are you?
everyone. Thank you. I'm
Good.
doing well tonight. Thank you so much for inviting me to join this wonderful group of people who are passionate about their purpose. My name is Adia Jordan. I'm the Chief Executive Officer and founder of In Rare Form Consulting and Events, which is a Washington, D.C. based event and consulting firm. A lot of what we do is brand development and event management, design, and production. We've done a lot of work with large nonprofits, a couple of people who are small business owners. And my passion has always been about social impact. Social impact has a little bit of a different look. I serve on some nonprofit boards, so I believe that developing and helping people connect their passion to their purpose is kind of one of the things that I've really been passionate about my whole life. So social impact through events and through brand development.
Yeah. And I appreciate you. You helped to keep me in line as well. And
No
I
problem.
appreciate that so much. And last but definitely not least, Mr. Deval Morgan. Hey, Deval. Deval, take yourself off of mute.
Sorry about that. How you doing, Michelle?
I
Hi,
am well.
Deval.
I'm well.
Good.
Tell the people about who you are, what you do, your passion and your purpose.
I'm gonna say good evening to everybody else that's on the panel. Hope everyone's doing well. My name is Deval Morgan. By trade, I'm an athletic trainer. I oversee the healthcare of athletes here at Lehman College in the Bronx. That is my 9 to 5. That is my love too, but my passion is community. And how I achieve community is by planning events, bringing people together. And I think my purpose is bringing people together. About 20 years ago, I started doing barbecues with my middle school, and everyone was like, "Man, this was great." And I started doing things with my high school. I started doing things with college, and I just felt the purpose of everyone gravitated around me. So again, community is everything for me. And
Yeah,
I dibble and dabble in a bunch of other media things as well. I do some music management. Yeah, I'm just all over the place. So, but
yeah.
just happy to be here.
I'm happy to have all of you on, and I love the mix of passions and things that you guys are doing, because I think
Mhm.
in our audience we have that as well. So you guys just will bring a different perspective in terms of how you approach things. What I also heard loud and clear, I know Adia, you're in the middle of transition. Chris, you're also in transition, um, but many of us, a lot of us, started while we were working full time,
Mhm.
right? And I think as people are starting to think about what to do next, I will say being able to have something full time while you're going after your passion is
Correct.
definitely the way to go. Anybody has anything to say about that?
It's a
Yeah,
blessing.
yeah, I guess I'll start. I
Okay.
mean, I've kind of moonlighted as almost everything. I mean, I started out in college as a bartender, then I was doing event management. And I used to have a colleague of mine, Mira, I love her to death. She used to say you used to always have a box under your desk. She said,
Mm,
because at some point you may have to pick up that box and leave the organization, but you should still be thinking about and figuring out how you can make connection to the work that you do every day. So,
yeah.
I spent some time the last 2 years working for the Biden Harris administration at GSA and DOL. And even though I had to put down my business, thank God my family picked it up for me in the meantime. I felt still compelled that if nothing else happened, if I didn't get another job once the administration changed, that I would be able to pick up the thing that I love, which is my business. And so that's how
Hmm.
my 9 to 5 has sustained me for the most part. But my passion is the thing that continues to carry on what I hope to bring to others and the legacy that I plan on leaving behind.
Yeah. Tiffany, you gonna say something? Go ahead. Were
Yes,
you
I
gonna
do
say something,
still.
Tiffany?
Am I off mute?
Yeah. Hmm.
I do still work full time. So 9 to 5, 8:30 to whatever. I work and I come home, shut one laptop. If I'm home, I open another one. It's just my life. The one thing I've learned recently, and I like what you said about keeping a box under your desk, because I have been with a financial firm 17, almost 18 years, and feel very secure, or in the past month or so, have seen some shifts and had some conversations with people that gave me a little different perspective. So now I see things in a way that makes me make sure that I am getting what I need, not pouring all of myself out. And, there's a different way to handle it. Once you know
Yeah.
something, way to handle it. And one thing I've learned recently is to get as much as I can out of the company that I work for, whether it's training, certifications, networking,
Hmm.
to make sure that if in fact something does happen to my job, I have definitely gotten what I needed. And I won't
Yeah.
be able to say that something was wasted. Like I said
Yeah.
before, no waste, no
Correct.
waste.
Yeah. Just having a plan B. And if you're able to, especially if what you're doing outside of your full-time job is connected, how do you leverage where you
Mm.
are to
I'd
also
like to
kind of
add to that if I
build
can.
yourself up? Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Chris, can you hear us? Go ahead.
Yeah, so um, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Okay. So like I said, I had moved to New York when I was like 21 years old, and I didn't have family there. I went up there because Jodeci went up there and did it. So I felt like I could do the same thing, right? So me and my partner, we had been in connection with Teddy Riley, and they kind of put us kind of advised us to go up there. You know what I mean? It was nothing really
Mhm.
popping in North Carolina that could really get us to where we wanted to go. And I saw that to say when we got up there, we got offered deals with Puff, and then we got offered deals with RCA, but we still had no money. You know what I mean? So we had to work to survive. You know, so
Right.
we could be in the studio all night, finish up 7 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be at work at 9 o'clock. So you have to go out there and do what you have to do to be able to eat. But if you have a passion for something, it doesn't matter what you have to do to get it. You got to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's no, it's
Yeah.
lazy men will be poor, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And you have to always let people know that you have a hunger for something. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to get into some more tips and things like that in a few minutes. So I appreciate what you guys have said. Anybody else want to add anything to
I
that?
do.
Go ahead,
I
Shalaya.
would love to add to it. One of the things that I've been reminding myself of lately is that what will be on our headstones is not the name of the companies, not the positions that you've held. It will
Correct.
be, for me, mother, sister, right? You know, daughter, all the things that actually matter. And so often we take these jobs for the benefits and we never use them. We never cash
Yeah.
in. We always
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead," or "I'll take the
Oh.
sick time later," and we never do. We leave jobs with thousands of hours of sick time when we know
Yes.
good and
Yes.
well, just because you're working at home does not mean that you feel perfectly healthy. Take the
Mhm.
time, take care of yourself, because the box under the desk is similar to that of that pink slip. When it's time
Yeah.
to go, they're not worried about you, and you need to
Yeah.
take care of yourself. If you are not well, nothing else will prosper. So we
Yeah.
carry
And Shalaya, you know, working in HR, and when I retired, was a senior HR, so I had HR managers who were managing some of the day-to-day stuff. But I was always amazed about the number of days people would leave on the table year to year. And we didn't allow people to carry over time, right? Some companies you can carry over. And to your
Mhm.
point, you don't get the time back,
You don't.
right? And how do you make sure you're taking care of yourself? And taking care of yourself is also means stepping back and utilizing the days that you have to do just that.
Mhm.
So, and that time could be used to fulfill some of the things that you're passionate about as well. So making sure that you do that. DeVal, you were gonna say something. I see you. See you
Yeah.
leaning in. Go ahead,
Yeah.
DeVal.
You need something to finance that dream, you
Yeah.
know, and that job sometimes is an interest-free loan on financing on your passion.
Mhm.
And you know, we live in a society now where everybody preaches on entrepreneurship, but they kind of demonize the regular 9 to 5. You got to get that funded some type of way,
Yeah.
You do.
because
Yeah.
so and again,
Yeah.
the benefits and all that stuff. You need that. You know, when you have a family,
Yeah.
it's hard to be trying to keep chasing the dreams without actually providing. But
Yeah.
if you can find time
That's
to
right.
do both,
Yeah.
then you got to
Yeah.
do both until the passion is sustainable. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Michelle, definitely it
Absolutely.
from I agree with that, and I think Deval and I actually went to college together, and so
Y'all
we've been
youngins, yes.
we've
Go
been doing
ahead.
this event game for a long time. But it really is that 9 to 5 at work, and then doing the 5 to 9 at home. Whether the 9 to 5 is passionate about the 9 to 5, but your 5 to 9 really is the time that you get for yourself. When we talk about resources and benefits, one of the things that your job gives you is access to people and connections. And sometimes people, I've had some jobs where I've just been in the background, just doing the work, keeping the trains running. And that does not help when it's
Yeah.
time to find your next role or your next position. Or sometimes people are looking at the work that you do and your work ethic to help you sustain your next contract. And that's what happened for me. So I agree, Deval. Like really, if you can do both, it's a lot of work, but
It is.
if you can manage your time correctly and manage your resources, you can really do it.
Yeah. Ty, you put yourself off of mute. You have something you want to add there?
Yeah, just a little something. So I think also everybody is 100% correct on what they're saying, but I think there's also another benefit to working a 9 to 5 while you're pursuing your passion. And that is you're able to either learn or augment skills that will be helpful for your passion, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is with that box that's under the desk. So like I got fired from a job the very first time in the worst possible situation ever is when I had just adopted my girls. My wife and the girls had moved cross country to a new house, and then I lost the job, right? But you know, I went through the normal stages of grief and all that kind of stuff. But eventually when I put my big boy pants on, I realized that I had to, you know, reinvent myself and use those skills that I had learned to do other things. So I went out, I bought myself a Mac computer. I think it was back when there were like the G4s or something like that.
Oh,
I
Lord.
bought Illustrator and Photoshop. I learned how to do design work, and I started doing stuff for people, flyers, brochures, things like that. So I just think that, you know, understanding that when a door behind you is closed, there's probably another one opening in front of you, and not letting yourself just wallow in that, you know, little pity party is important as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about passion and purpose. I want to get to that. So, was there a defining moment when you realized your passion and purpose aligned? And talk a little bit about that. So, Adia, I'll start with you first.
Oh, I think I've had two pivot moments in my mind, but one that kind of stares at me is I was interning actually the summer of probably 2003. I had an internship at JP Morgan Chase because finance was one of my majors at the time. And I realized I didn't want to sit at a desk every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it drove me crazy because the stuff that I would do in my sleep was planning events for people. You know, I would bartend at night and hear people talk about the event that they were doing or they needed something. And at the time, I was like an assistant manager at night for a restaurant. And I loved doing that a whole lot more. So much so that I changed my major. I changed my school, I changed my major, and decided that what I really wanted to focus on was communications and events. And then the next probably big pivot moment was in 2007. I remember going to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's annual conference. It's like CBC Week. And standing in the convention center in awe, complete awe, just looking around at all of us professionals doing well. And I said to myself, this is what I want to do. I felt the energy and I felt alive and I felt like this was a new place for me to be. And it took maybe about 6 years for me to get there, but that's where I felt like I can really do what I love, which is helping people, connecting communities, but also being able to plan events. So
Yeah.
those are the two big pivot points for me.
Yeah. Thank you. Who wants to go next? I'm going to call somebody.
Oh,
DeVal, how about you? I'll do
I
DeVal
think
and Chris, I'll do you next.
okay.
DeVal, go ahead.
I think for me was just, you know, starting out with the events, starting out with the barbecue, starting out with the reunion, starting out with the brunches, and just seeing everybody just so happy to reconnect with folks. It just was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I could do this all the time, and you know, I can make people happy. For me, it's never about
Right.
money. It's never about actually getting something out of it besides just seeing people genuinely happy. And it goes back to my original passion, purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and community. And that's what it is to this day. You know,
Yeah.
my whole UB Soul initiative and everything is just all about community. It's just bringing people together, bringing people together under the right circumstances, and just building community and having that just be
Mm-hmm.
a constant thing. So.
Yeah. And that's where you, myself, and Adia have similarities because I know I mentioned to folks in your intro paper intro bio about us meeting just through the fact that, you know, I'm planning one type of reunion, you're planning another reunion for a generation. Adia has been helping me with all, but for me as well, it's just I love bringing people together and
Mm-hmm.
seeing people enjoy themselves. I call myself a pseudo event planner. I love pulling things together,
Mm-hmm.
but also just helping people. And that's how I really, for me, coaching in HR, like you, Adia, my my initial major was finance.
Yeah, I
And
was like, what am I
I hated
doing?
it. I hated it. And I remember walking into NY Pratt Institute, because I'm from Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
walking to Pratt Institute and doing an internship. And the lady, the vice president of HR who I was reporting to was a Black female. And I had never seen someone who looked like me in a position like that. And she brought me under her wings, and I went back to UB and changed my major to HR.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was just one of those things that as I continued to get promoted and move up, I just loved everything about human resources.
Mm-hmm.
And 37 years later, that's why I retired. So love your answers. Chris, how about you? Passion, purpose, when did it all start to make sense for you?
Well, I wrote something else in my head before, right?
Yeah.
But because I didn't really think I really had a defining moment, I always
Hmm.
thought like something was in me. I always felt like when I was a kid that God talked to me. You know, like, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was kind of weird. So I was like, I felt like I could hear other people or see other people's see my classmates. For example, I could be at home and like imagine me being in one of my classmates' homes and just thinking how they were living. You know, I was just
Yeah.
weird like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in kindergarten, we had a music teacher who taught us a song. It was a color song. I always miss this song. I always call it the color song. It was like
Yeah.
red and yellow and pink and green, purple and orange and blue. Anyway, it was like you singing all the colors of the rainbow, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
So she taught us the song and we sang it. And after we sang it, she called me up and she made me sing it again by myself while she played the piano. And after class, she wrote my mother a note and was like, "Your son can sing. You need to do something with him." Like so, of
Mm-hmm.
course, I'm from the country, so she put me right in the choir. I
Right.
was nervous, but I was nervous about the choir, right? I was always nervous about the choir. It kind of scared me, but I enjoyed seeing like my family on my dad's side. There, it was a group called the Golden Years of Garner, and they
Mhm.
were on the Chitlin circuit with all the other big gospel artists. So I would love watching them practice. So I kind of like got the taste then, but I
Mhm.
felt like the defining moment was like all through high school, like getting to high school and being at a high school that had like performing arts. And then I started because I thought I got too cool to be doing stuff like that. So I left. My dad
Mhm.
didn't like me anymore because I wasn't singing in the choir. I got to
Mm-hmm.
high school and, you know, kind of joined these girls because I was a girl crazy, talked
Mhm.
me into getting into they started a gospel choir in high school. So I got in that. And we also had this thing called the air guitar, was kind of like putting on the hits. So I
Okay.
started performing in that. And I thought I was a superstar. You know, you get people screaming and I'm not even really singing. I'm like, so that kind of lit the fire in me thinking
Mhm.
it was about me. You know what I mean? But I'll stop
Right.
there because I know we got a lot more to say on that, but that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
set me off.
Good, good. Thank you. Tiffany, how about you?
Well, if I think back to a pivotal moment, it would be 2017 or so. So I was in my role for 13 years. I was growing in that role, doing different things, learning along the way. And I started as a technical writer out of college and then moved into system services support. And I stayed there. I was happy. I was raising my kids and I was doing the football mom, soccer mom, teacher conferences, all of that. And I had a flexible job. I was working at home. Everything was great. So when the CEO or the owner of this company comes talking about career vitality and mobility, I was good. Everybody
Mhm.
was coming and going. They were, getting new roles because she said, make yourselves more valuable assets. Get roles across, be lateral in your moves, try to move upward, learn, learn what other roles are all about, do something new, get trained, whatever. But I was good. And it wasn't until my nudge buddy, my mentor, my manager at the time decided to take another role. And this was after I watched people come and go for a couple of years from my team. I was good, but she decided to leave, and it was like, wait a minute, because she was the
Mm.
one that motivated me, learning and growing all the time. So it put some fire under my feet, and I actually made a move. And that move put me on a path of forward progress, which I was on already, but I was just kind of comfortable. And that forward progress began and never stopped. And it's
Mm.
because I wasn't scared. I was just like wondering, now what? I'm not
Mhm.
just going to stay
Mm.
here and not have
Mhm.
anyone nudge me along. So I nudged myself, and it turned into a whole story. So I went from in 2017, that team of 13 years to took about 4 or 5 years for me to get just where I wanted to be. But in that time frame, every step that I took, every move I made, every person, every meaningful connection that I made, all the training I did, all of the things that my advisors told me to do, I put it all into practice, and it brought about a change that I can look back on and say, it worked. I did it,
Yeah.
it worked. I have to tell other people about it because you know me, I love telling people about good things. So if I have information to share that's going to help somebody else, I'm going to do it. And I started doing that through the Career Center at work, volunteering,
Yeah.
mentoring, all that. And now, after having written my book, I look back over the 25 years or so, the last 25 years of my life, and I can say God ordered my steps. So the good, bad, and ugly
Absolutely.
that happened to me was for a
Absolutely.
purpose to lead
Indeed.
me into my purpose, to lead me to walk in my purpose. So I want to help other people see how to do that because you can't just look at everything as, oh, that was a dark place in my life and nothing came of it. No, everything you go
Everything.
through is for a reason. Everything. And it took
Absolutely. I'm a true
me.
believer of that. True
Mm-hmm.
believer of that. And I can see just knowing you, Tiffany, as long as I have, and just seeing, because you and I got reconnected probably about 5 years ago, but just seeing the transformation of what you've been doing.
Mhm.
This is it. This is where you were supposed to be. I
I
can
hope.
see why you are doing what you're doing right now. So
Thanks.
yeah, was no
I'm gonna get.
surprise to me that you would be in this place at all. Yeah,
I'm happy.
yeah. Ty and Shalea. Ty, what about you?
Yeah, I'll go. First of all, I want to say, Chris, you didn't have to come out showing off with the singing, because I can sing too, but I don't want to right now, so I'm not going to do it.
There you
Secondly, I
go,
want
Ty. Don't start, Ty.
hey, Chris is family. So I want to say I was really glad when when you asked this question because it's something I've actually been thinking of for quite some time, actually. And the analogy I'd come up with for this is well, the reasoning behind it is everything is about perspective. I've been dealing a lot with perspective lately. And the analogy I came up with was, I used to work when I was younger. We worked in a lot of, farming and fields and things. And I remember the fields and everything were all rectangular shaped, right? And the first time I flew across country, I remember looking out the window and I'd see these big circles, right? And they were actually the crops that were grown, they weren't grown in straight lanes like they are here. They were grown in because of the way the water system worked, it would make just big circles of crops. And I realized that sometimes, you can't see things from ground level. You see them, when you get up higher, you're able to understand where that actually comes from. The way that goes full circle with me, every project that I've ever worked on, I realized it was always about connecting people, whether it was connecting college students that needed money with people that wanted to invest in college students, or whether it was connecting people in a customer loyalty app, putting them on teams to earn rewards collectively, which I still think is, futuristic, but we'll get to that later. But
Mm-hmm.
then with my current project, Griot and Grits, it fell together in about 4 different parts that I couldn't see at the time. And like Tiffany was saying, God lays out your plans well in advance. It started way over 20 years ago when I found my sister's notebook. She was pregnant with her first child. She was maybe about
Mm-hmm.
17 or so. And I was visiting from the Air Force and I was doing everything that, somebody first time away from home does. I was looking for stuff to steal and take back with me, just like a college student. So I found a notebook and there's no honor among siblings. So I opened it up and I started reading it. And it was little notes between her and her unborn daughter. And it was like things like, hey, I'm so scared. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I think that's when the seed was initially planted. Then you
Mm-hmm.
fast forward a few years, to a few years ago when my brother passed away. And I didn't know whether I should delete his old voicemails or keep them because, you know, we had never had death before. And so I didn't know what to do because I'm a very process oriented person. I was like looking for somebody to tell me exactly what you need to do, but I wound up keeping them. And then lastly, when my mother passed away, we did this thing at her last birthday where each son took a turn dancing with her, and we would tap each other on the shoulder and the next one would come up. And I noticed that everybody in the house, it was packed, was crying as they were watching it. But the most important thing was, for me, everybody had a camera and everybody was filming, and each person had a different perspective of that exact same event. And so what I thought about then was, if I could take that same kind of concept and apply that to people and family, take all these disparate descriptions of different people in a family to where you could paint across time, paint a complete picture of somebody historically in your family. So I think, you know, when you're able to see from a higher point, you know, things that you might have already been doing anyway, and you get that for me, that was that point where the defining moment when I was like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to connect these families, not across like geographical distance, but across time. So it's still a connection thing, but I couldn't see that perspective till I got up high enough in the plane to see the crop circles of my life. So that's what I wanted to share.
And Ty, I know you humble, but I mean, he has one of the biggest IT companies in this area has picked up on his project, as well as the Smithsonian has an interest. So that's all I'm saying about that.
And
So
they're the world's first billion. They're the world's first $1 billion open source software company, by the way.
Yeah. So talk about passion, purpose, and bringing it to life.
Thank you.
So Shalaya, how about you?
Well, I'm so glad that you all have a defining moment. I could tell you that, you know, I had postpartum preeclampsia and spent the 10 days in the hospital in the dark and couldn't get my blood pressure down after having my daughter, and it was dangerous. And I woke up. No, that's not what happened. I jumped out of a plane, and I literally jumped out of a plane and recognized that there was no fear, that I could do the impossible. And the passion for me is exposure. It's being able to do the things that other people say that I can't do for the benefit of other people. When I got to the height of this, when we jumped out of the plane, there was no anticipation. You weren't going to hear a pin drop. It was complete silence, and it's you and God at that point. This is it. If you can jump out of a plane and survive it, there's nothing you can't do. So the shakiness I used to have in my voice when I would speak publicly, gone. No one knows what I'm going to say. So say it. Say whatever it is you want to say. That allowed me to educate better than I had already been doing it. And I actually jumped out of that plane with a student who had failed out of basic training. And he called every Sunday, myself, his mother, and his sister. I was his teacher, and it was my gift to him. And we both got back to the ground, and he said, "Miss, what are we going to do next?" And I looked at him like, "Jason, you are crazy. I just paid for us to jump out of a plane as your graduation gift, right?" And I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He said, "I think I want to ride horses." This is a young man from the city that has gone through so much. And for him to say, "I want to ride horses," was like, you now know that if you do this, you can do anything else. And so I keep exposing people that have never done a thing to that thing, including my own child. So continued exposure and just opening up the possibilities. And for me, doing the impossible, whether that is establishing a coloring book while going to school full time and being an executive and being a mom and all the things, just do it. Nike needs to sponsor me, man. That was pretty good.
But you do. You have to. A lot of times, fear prevents us from doing things that we're passionate about, right? Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of a whole lot of stuff.
Listen.
Go ahead. Who's somebody going to say something?
Go ahead, Ty. I'll go after you.
Okay. Thank you. I was just going to add two quick quotes that I kind of like to live by. One of them came from Will Smith, and he said, "Your greatest success is just on the other side of fear."
Indeed.
That's one. And then the other one all of a sudden escaped me, but it was actually pretty profound, though. I'll promise you that. Well, I remember it now. So if you try something and you're not scared, if you go after your dream and you're not scared to go after it, then your dream isn't big enough.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
need to have, you need to have some fear of your dream. Um, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and I tell you, and that one hit me hard because I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur, never. But I knew as I was thinking about retirement, which I was able to do before I was 60. But when I was thinking about retirement, the thought of me becoming an entrepreneur was just it was just like, oh, I'm not sure I can do it. Um, but I kept saying to myself, why not?
Right.
Why not? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing the things to really prepare me to be able to do it. And I remember speaking to one of my mentors and coaches, and she said, Michelle, I think I was telling this story to a couple people. I started off right after I got my divorce. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go for my life coaching certification. And I remember speaking to my mentor and coach, and she's like, Michelle, you've been doing HR for 37 years. Why are you not leveraging your HR background?
Exactly.
And for me, it wasn't even a thought at that particular point in time. And then once I did that, I was like, yeah, I need to do it. Like, why am I not doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So sometimes there's things you have in you that's right in your back pocket and you're not even thinking about it. And you need someone to kind of, show you,
Yes.
tell you, look, this is what I see in you and you can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That idea.
I'm with you because I literally went to college for finance and got a full ride because I saw my mother in finance.
Yeah.
And my mother said to me, like my first year, why are you struggling in statistics? I hated statistics.
Oh my God.
I hated
With kindred spirits,
statistics.
Bash.
I couldn't pass the class to save my life. I kept getting C minuses and I needed a certain average to graduate and keep my scholarship. And she kept saying, I don't know why you're doing this. And I was like, well, I want to make money. You make money. I want to make money. And she said, you can make money in communications and events. You just have to figure that part out. And I was
Right.
like, I guess. And
Yeah.
I had one of my good friends, he's kind of like an older mentor, Doc Thomas. Doc, he said to me one day, he said, you should just go get your DBA. This is like, I'm like probably 22 years old. He
Yeah.
said, go get your DBA. He said, you don't have to touch it. You don't have to use it now if you don't want to, but you'll build this business history, if you will. And if an opportunity comes along, you'll be prepared because then you won't
Yeah.
have to go get documents and a business account and all of these other things. And I remembered probably during COVID where everybody was kind of day drinking and taking the chill pill and all that kind of other stuff. I was still working. I still was trying to figure out how to make up this money and this revenue for this company that I worked for that was struggling because a good portion of their business model was events, these fundraising events. And I had, created this innovative solution. And I said, you know what? I'm a pivot pioneer because I am not afraid to pivot. I have probably had more than 9 jobs like a Jamaican. My family is West Indian, so I don't mind. I've been a bartender, I've been a server, I've been a pharmaceutical marketing person. So I feel like when you keep telling yourself that you can do it, and I've been fearful, there's been times that I've been broke, and broke has been the thing that has helped me break through the fear.
Right.
But it does something to you when you realize that you don't have fear. And
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not the plane, like Shalea says. Sometimes the verbal plane for you is getting a bill.
Yeah.
Sometimes the verbal plane is hearing somebody tell you that you can't do it. And you like, I'm gonna prove to you that I can do it and I'm gonna do it well. So, when people ask that question of like, where does the fear come from? It really is a false evidence
Yeah.
appearing real. That is
Right.
really what it is. But you have to tell yourself every day, like, I'm living past fear, because fear and worry and fear and faith don't reside in the same place. So if I
Amen.
can get past those two things, if I can rely on my faith to lead me in the direction where I'm going, that's where I'm going. And I
Yeah.
really tell people I'm on the faith walk now, because half this stuff that I've done, I have to just give it to God, because it's not me. Some of this stuff is really
Absolutely.
just not me.
Absolutely.
So
But you know what? And some of that too, and I'll speak, and I'm a very spiritual person, but for me, when everything starts aligning and you're not doing a whole lot, it's just coming together,
correct.
that's when you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. It
Indeed.
just and I've seen that happen so many times, as I progressed in my career, and even as I started this business. I mean, opportunities have just opened up that I had never even thought of myself even doing.
Hmm.
But that's also a sign you're walking in your purpose as well. Deval, I see you leaning in again. Were you gonna say? Were you gonna add? You good?
I
Anyone else
wanted
want
to
to add?
add,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Shalaya.
because you all got me thinking as you were talking that for me, failure has been the curriculum, right?
Yeah.
Like it has refined me in all the ways. Like I've missed opportunities, I misjudged timelines, I've underestimated my own worth. But in each of those things, I learned something that I couldn't learn in success, right? Like
Right.
for failure for me has forced clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And when you just said these opportunities came about, what I come back to is prior proper planning prevents pitiful poor performance. Michelle, you can't
Mm.
tell me that you were not prepared for those
Yes.
opportunities. You had already done the work. And I think for a lot of us in the entrepreneur space of doing something on our own, yes, it's scary, but I don't want to glorify the grind because the
Right.
reality is you have to plan, you have to budget, you have to stay ready. You know, it's very simple to start a business, but maintaining it over time, getting it to grow really takes dedication,
It
right?
does. It
And
does.
planning. So I don't want to give the folks that are watching the idea that we just got an opportunity. No, you ran with
Yeah,
an
no,
opportunity. You
absolutely,
prepared.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
and I know in my workspace we talk about fail forward,
Mm.
right? So sometimes things may not go the way you would like it to go, but you're learning from that experience and it's helping you to progress and make things even better, right? So that is definitely part of the journey, I think, as well. But for me, as I said, I think when things start to come together while you're doing your work, Shalay, as you said, that's when you know you're on the right path. So, but thank you for that. Anybody else want to say
Yeah.
anything regarding that? Go ahead, Tiffany.
Whew, okay, we're gonna talk about pivots, y'all, because I'm a
Yeah,
pivot person. Now, when it comes to failure, um, I would think failure would be a dirty word. Used to be
yeah.
long ago, because I was a perfectionist, but I am no longer
Hmm.
that. My 40s brought me out of that space. Thank you, Jesus. No longer a perfectionist. Pivoting is not hard for me anymore. It used to be I'd get into a place of, okay, I'm going to do it this way because I know if I do it this way, the end is going to be that way, right? It's going to happen just like this if I do this. But finding out that that's not always the case, it gives you, again, like Ty said, perspective. You change your perspective and you do things a little differently. So, as an entrepreneur, just since 2022,
Hmm.
I've pivoted 3 times. And when it comes to where I'm supposed to be, I would question it. In the very beginning, I would question, okay, if I'm doing things a certain way, I expect a certain outcome. Why isn't it happening the way I expect it to happen? I
Hmm.
do. I'm a Christian. So when I think about God and the way he leads and guides, it's not that I'm perfect and I always have my eyes on him, directly on him. It's not that way all the time. I can admit that. So when my eyes turn left or right and I lose sight of the fact that I am his daughter and he has a plan for me, I might start focusing on things that, worry me, make me upset, things that,
Hmm.
give me anxiety. But I've learned that in the pivot, it's okay to fail, right? It's okay to fail, but you feel and then you fail fast because
Hmm.
God
Hmm.
gave us emotions. We're made in His image, so we can feel. It's okay to be angry, sad. It's okay to be upset. It's okay, but what are you going to do with that energy? You know. And I
Hmm.
learned this from my therapist. There's a framework that she gave me in 2019 when I went to therapy for the first time. I learned that to process the emotions so that you can get through what you're going through and keep it moving forward.
Indeed.
Hmm.
this framework I still follow because I write it in my electronic journal. I'm a Google Docs person, so I just write in there. The framework is this: you can have a feeling, and that feeling is followed by emotions. There are triggers for those, but then there are also facts. That's the framework she gave me. She said, when you are in your feeling place, go ahead and write all that down. Start with
Yeah.
how you're feeling. I am feeling scared because I don't know tomorrow whether or not I'm going to have a client. I'm feeling scared because didn't have a client last week. Maybe I won't next week. So I'm just feeling all of these emotions, right? But then the trigger, it's not that I didn't have a client this week or last week. It's something that's deeper than that. And insecurity, maybe not understanding the big picture all the time, gives me some anxiety, and I don't trust God enough. There's always a
Mhm.
deeper reason that we feel things in the moment, right? So after I've written all of that down, I think about the facts, and it always leads me back to the word. What is the fact of the matter?
Mhm.
The fact is I am a child of God, and he has a plan and purpose for my life. So there's no need for me to be worried about tomorrow. He says in the word that I shouldn't toil and spin. So if I go to
Mhm.
the word and make sure that's in front of me all the time, I can remember who I am and I can pivot quickly and keep moving forward. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that framework that she gave me. But one thing I did add to it was action. So after you know what those feelings and emotions are, and you know what trigger them, and you know what the facts are, what are you going to do? You can
Yeah.
stay in that place for a long time and wallow, but you can also make an intentional decision to come out of that place and do something about it. I'm going to cry my tears when I
Yeah.
feel sad, but I'm also going to come out of that and move forward with that same level of energy in a positive forward
Yeah.
progression.
And I like that, Tiffany. And I don't believe. I think there's a lesson to be learned out of everything that we go through, right? And the question is, what do you do with that lesson, right? And you can pivot, right? Take what you learned and do something else to make better whatever it is that you were doing, or you can wallow, right? But we know there's nothing that comes out of just wallowing and sitting back. And if you're
Correct.
passionate about something, you find the lesson in it to move yourself forward. So that's one of the things for me that I take from um, my lessons learned as I'm running up against walls. And you're going to run up against walls when you're in business, show. I don't know anybody who doesn't.
Hmm.
But the question is, what's the lesson to be learned out of that? And to keep moving forward, right? Because you can't
Hmm.
make any progress if you're just standing still.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything you want to add to what's been said? Go ahead, DeBow.
Um, I think failure is literally the perspective of the public. Like
Yeah.
you might have a goal, and they might see it as, well, that didn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, but for you it was a learning experience. And sometimes
Correct.
you need to build off of that. Sometimes people don't see your messaging. Sometimes people don't see your vision. And I think a lot of the times consistency is what brings things full circle around. So if
Mhm.
you're constantly doing the same event, or if you have a product or a service that you're constantly trying to push, and people are like kind of lukewarm, receptive of it, but they see that you're consistently doing it, then
Mhm.
Hmm.
then they'll start going, wow, maybe I need to check this event out, or maybe I need to
Exactly.
check this product out. So sometimes the language might not be, you might be doing everything right. It's just you're missing the consistency. And I think that's where a lot of people, quote unquote, fail in the
Mhm.
eyes of other people, is that they just give up too quick.
Yeah.
Right.
I,
I
I
like
agree.
that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I,
I just wanted to, I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Chris, and then I see
Yeah, so I
Cousin
just,
Adia.
because when Adia said something a little while ago, it's funny because this morning I posted, God told me, don't be afraid. I just posted
Mm.
that today. And then I followed
hmm
up with what he said. He said, fear not, for I am with you, right? And I've been going through a hella storm, right? So, I don't want to just get too deep into this, but so currently, right now, I can say this to you guys. So, I'm not working my daytime, right? So, we talk about fear, my daytime was outsourced to Morocco. I wish I could have been out there and going out there with him,
I
but
know that's right.
Hello.
but
It's beautiful.
it,
Okay.
it was outsourced to Morocco. Of course, when things like that happen, actually, I welcomed it at the time, right? Because I was like, you know what,
Really?
I'm gonna take me some time off, take me a vacay, do some things. My dad has dementia. Let me help my mom out. Da 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 da. But time has been ticking, So I said, let me get back on the ball, start trying to get that daytime resource back. But it hasn't come through for me, right?
Right.
And I'm asking God, like, why has that not come through? So I look at it like this. So I don't have a degree like many, right? So I was fortunate to get in a position where God has always blessed me, right?
Yeah.
To be
Mm-hmm.
in leadership and do what I do, been in finance for these years. So now the climate has changed over the past couple months. So I don't even want to put that I'm black anymore, right? Just
Mm,
because
Okay.
I don't know how I'm being judged, right? Not
yeah.
only do I not have that, so it's like I had to look at it differently from a different perspective. Like God has set me down for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know all the reasons completely, but he set me down and said, "Be
Indeed.
still, brother." You know what I'm saying? You gotta, thank God I'm not the high school broke where I need $5. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've been
Right.
blessed enough to be able to, we continue to maintain, but you got a wife, family, they become concerns, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I
Right.
have to let God lead me to wherever I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
you may not know what tomorrow is going to bring, and then on top of that, I was told just recently that my cancer came back. So it was like all
Mm,
these things compiled rather than me going crazy. I have to project it differently. So I can't wallow in it like you all have stated. I just have to keep moving and still give out that positive energy because my whole brand for myself is good energy only, which
right.
is
Right.
which is Geo. So the name of my projects are Geo. The first one was the Geo Soul tape. Now I just released this new one called the Geo 2. So Geo 2 is good energy only. So how do I look going out here crying
Right.
to everybody? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
About about my issues because God has given me all this for a reason, and I just got to give
Mm-hmm.
it to Him and keep moving, keep swinging. And so I just wanted to say, fear is it can be real, because when you they say let go, let God, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, we're not the type to really want to let go. We want to
Yeah.
control everything and we want to run everything. But there comes a time in your life where you have no control. And you
Correct.
Yeah.
just gotta let God do what he does. And that's what keeps us humble. That's what keeps us meek and understand that we are not in control. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you must do what you have to do. Um, when God puts something in you, you got to let it, you got to be able to release it. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I'm gonna stop there because I'm
No, but
getting
that you
ready
said a whole lot
going
in
too
that
Yeah.
far.
space. I want to send you a virtual hug through these internet streets.
Yes. I was.
But you said a mouthful there, Chris, and it's funny. I don't know about y'all, but I think I had some very defining moments when I was still and had to be sat down,
Correct.
right? Because I know I can be a perfectionist as well. And there were some things I had to let go of. It's like, Michelle, only you, DeVal, you would say, only I knew what it was supposed to look like. Nobody else knew that, right? So
Right,
why am I making
right.
myself crazy trying
Exactly.
to make things perfect when I was the only one that really knew how things were supposed to be or how I wanted,
Exactly.
let me put it this way,
Absolutely.
how I wanted it to be,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you saying that, Chris, because
Yeah.
that is, sometimes we just have to step back, and I'm a believer. If you don't, sometimes he'll sit you down so that you
Mhm.
can be still, right?
As
Right.
you do.
But it's during those moments where I found a whole lot of clarity. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
appreciate you for being vulnerable and sharing that, Chris.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
Yeah.
you.
you, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else? want to share
Yeah.
anything from that perspective? Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, I wanted to share one quick thing, and it's beautiful to hear people talking about perspective. Like I said, I've been dealing with that for or thinking through perspective of how I view things for a long time now. And so, Duval, you touched on something about the perspective of failure, and I got a lesson in that not too long ago. So, one of my brothers started his candy company making peanut brittle using my mother's 40-year-old recipe, right? And he called me one day, and remember, my mother passed away. So he called me and he was like, "Hey man, I've been selling the candy at my job." And he said, "I looked in the trash can and I saw one of the wrappers with mama's face on it and all that stuff." And me being the hothead and passionate person that I am, I got mad. I was like, "How dare they? I can't believe it's in the trash. That doesn't make sense." And this and that, and that. And he said, "Look, dude," he said, "stop, calm down." He said, "I looked in the trash and I saw mama's candy package, her dream, among the Pepsi cans and among the Snicker bar wrappers, the Lay's potato chips." He said, "People, I'm among that success." So he said, instead of looking at it as like a negative thing, look at it as a positive. People are buying this product. The same people buying these multi-billion-dollar product companies' products are buying mama's recipe. And her dream was always to get that into stores or to get that,
Yeah.
her recipe
Yeah.
out. So yeah, it's all about how you look at things.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Failure isn't
Ty.
a failure for one is not a failure for all.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Go ahead,
Agreed.
Adia.
Yeah, Ty, I was gonna say like I've come to reframe the way I think about failures and stops as everything is research and development. Everything.
Yes.
So if I
Yes.
don't if I don't hit the revenue I want, then I'm like, whoo, I gotta go back. I don't have to go back to the drawing board, but I do need to go back to my market. Sometimes it's going
Yeah.
back to the audience. Sometimes it's as an entrepreneur surveying the attendees. Sometimes it's surveying your clients, figuring out, okay, what could I have done better that did not yield the results of what I was looking for?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just in business, that's in life, right?
That's
Because
Yeah.
right.
you
Yeah.
Yeah.
will have
Yeah.
these relationships or friendships or family ties that you have, and they go through their own ebbs and flows. And sometimes, people ask, especially during COVID, I think people were really fearful of what their life and their family dynamics and what their jobs were going to look like and their health was going to look like. And I said, God is just sitting us all down. He said it's a
Mm-hmm.
timeout, to be honest. And everybody
Mm-hmm.
had to
Go in the corner and sit yourself
go,
down somewhere.
please go
Yeah.
sit in the corner and give me a minute, okay? And so,
That's right.
during that time, and to think, it's crazy to think that that was 5 years ago.
And it was
And
two
Right.
to
years, and we were doing that for
and we were
2 years.
but think about it. The whole idea of a remote workforce, as big as it is, came out of a time where people had to sit down. So everything that people now see and understand about life came from a time where people were really in the most fear that they probably had in their entire lives. And so you like, my introspection then was like, okay, 2 years prior to COVID, I had to have, major surgery. I was working 16-hour days. I'm like doing too much. My family was looking at me like I was crazy. My mother said, please sit down. And I was like, no, I got a conference to do. I'm sorry, I have to do this. Um, and COVID was a chance for me to really sit down, even though I was still trucking, figuring out a 30-day conference, which is crazy and stupid at the same time. After that, I realized I was so burnt out,
Yeah.
and the fear of not having money and all this other stuff started coming in and creeping in and all that kind of stuff. And I remember I wanted to quit my job, and my family was like, you can't be quitting your job. And that fear stuck with me for like 2 3 days. I had to go do
Yeah.
a trip. I had to go pray with God. I had to go to the water, come back. And the moment, I remember, I went to Buffalo, I was having a moment, and I said, okay, God, it's me and you at this water. And I just need you to be clear with me that you're going to help me release this fear so I can walk into what you're promising me for my next step.
Yeah.
And the next day, a client called me and said, hey, I saw what you did for your job. I really need you to come and do this for my organization. Name a price. And I said, okay, God, I'm just going to keep releasing you with
Yeah.
the dream and the passion. And to Shalea's point, we tell God what we want to do, and God be laughing,
Yeah, it's like, really?
telling those plans, and God be laughing like, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Have fun, good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Do it. Look, do it your way and see what
do it
happens.
your
Yeah,
way and see what happens.
yeah. See how that
But
works.
see how
Yeah.
that works. But I mean, even even having this conversation with all of you is like great, because you get to chance to see how we've all taken fear and failure and kind of made it work for us, right? In a way that sometimes people just don't have that like moxie, or they don't have that kind of belief in themselves. I guess that's
Yeah.
probably the best thing to say.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
Adia, this is why this talk about just stepping out on faith and doing something. I never believed I was going to be a podcaster. Like, podcaster was not even
I
in my
remember that
periphery.
conversation.
Remember we
Yes,
had the
we
conversation?
did.
But to see, this is why I do the podcast, so people can
Hmm.
see different perspectives on topics that maybe they are going through. And it is sometimes you not need to hear that people that you're not the only one going through something. And number one, and number two, there are different ways that you can manage things, and hearing how people are going through and managing through stuff can help you generate some other thoughts for yourself in terms of, okay, what might I do differently, or what can I do? This person was able to do it, maybe it's something I should look into, right? So I appreciate the perspectives, and that's why I say you guys, I know I brought the right people for this podcast, because you all have had your own journey, have managed things similarly in some cases and differently in others. So I have this question. There's two more questions for you all. So if you can leave listeners with one piece of advice about living a passion-driven life, what would it be? So I want to hear from all of y'all. So who wants to go first?
I can kick it off.
Okay. I see Tiffany and Shalea. Shalea, you go, and then Tiffany, you go.
Uh, Often people ask me, you're good at a lot of things. And I'm going to be honest, being Black, being a woman, being the greatest oops in my family, I am good at a lot of things. But I would
Mhm.
tell you to protect your vision. People will try to shrink it, convince you to settle. Um, don't, just don't, right?
Yeah.
Be connected to your purpose, but you need to surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable to your greatness, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Get
Love that.
comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Love that, Shalea. Deval, how about you?
I know we always hear the term, if it's something that you would do for free, that's something that you could do forever. But again, if you generally have a passion and you can see yourself just being able to continually doing it, and it's no monetary thing that's involved, I think that's something that you need to push through it. But you still need to find a way to make money off of it in some type of way. So if it's something that you're doing, that it might be, again, like let's take like the UB Soul stuff, wherever that I do, that might be something that's my contribution to our school. But you need to take those skills and that experience and do it for other people, where you're going to get a check out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I
definitely.
agree. I
You can
agree.
have
Thank you,
you
Deval.
can have a pro bono part of it,
Yeah.
but you gotta find a way to get some checks off for it as well. So
Well, and also sometimes that pro bono stuff leads to financial
yeah,
financial situation. So you
absolutely,
never know who's going to see you and recognize your gift. So appreciate
absolutely.
that, Deval. Adia, how about you?
I'm gonna let Tiffany go first.
Okay. Tiffany, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm thinking about my mantra, y'all. When people have the information they need, they can make the best decisions for themselves. When they don't,
Hmm.
there is great regret.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I live by is that because when I didn't have the information I needed, I made decisions. I regret some, not anymore because I've learned from them. But if I can share some information, I'm not like the smartest person in the whole wide world, but when I learn something and I feel like it's valuable enough to share, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to sit on information. I'm not going to keep something because it's, I don't know, embarrassing or um, people may think a certain thing. But if it's going to help somebody, share the information. Information is one of the most valuable things that you can leverage. If one person has it and doesn't share it, I feel like it's selfish in a way,
That's right.
Yeah.
because you could
It
be
is.
helping someone, preventing their demise, giving them the information they need to make a good decision. And because you're embarrassed about the outcome of the decision you made, you might keep that information. No, be transparent enough to help someone else with the information that you have, and know that if it was hard for you and you went through it, you made it through for a reason, so you could help somebody else. So
Yeah,
that's my
I agree with that. I'm one, and you have some people who holds a lot of stuff close to the vest. I'm not one. Just you, I'm a open book. Just ask me if
mm,
I did something and you think you can learn something from me. Give me a call. I don't care,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
I want people to succeed, which is
yes.
why I
Same.
started my business.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Adia, you're next, and then Ty and Chris.
My thing is trusting in your gifts.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't get a gift for no reason. You didn't, this vision that you have didn't come to you without a plan. I used to say to people, God gives you vision. God does not give you vision without provision.
Mm,
And if you believe that this is the vision that you've been given, you have to believe that the table is already set for you in some kind of way. And you just got to every day just trust in that process, trust in that plan, and trust in your gifts. And then keep refining your methods, right? Because
yeah.
sometimes people get stuck in the thing that they used to do, the way that they used to do, the plan that they used to do. But you know, your gifts will continue to make room for you, but you have to also make room for your gifts. So you
Yeah.
have to keep moving in a way that justifies, no, maybe not justifies, that just glorifies that gift. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I believe.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Adia.
Mm-hmm.
Chris.
I think a deal, like you remember Wendy Williams used to say, somebody must be a friend in their head. A deal must be a friend in my head because we be on the same
Mm-hmm.
wavelengths, right? And I say that because my answer to what I leave the listeners with, and that's really go with your gut feeling, right? I've
Mm-hmm.
always told my kids to do the same thing. Go with your gut feeling, because what I say that gut feeling is, I say that's God. I say that's that Holy Spirit talking to you. And if that gut
Mm-hmm.
feeling tells you to do something, or that you got something, you better act on it. Don't worry about what people say. Don't worry about the naysayers or whatever it is. People try to talk you down and say, no, you can't do this or you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you if God tell you you can do something and you
Mm-hmm.
feel it in your gut, you better go for it, because I always said that gut feeling can save your life or end your life. And if you don't go with that gut feeling, and say for instance, somebody, you get that feeling where I need to, something tells me I don't need to go out, or I need to go home right now, and you don't, and something major happens. You wasn't listening. You
Mm-hmm.
wasn't listening to what that gut feeling was telling you. And it's the same thing when you're following a passion. If you have a gut
Mm-hmm.
feeling to do something that you can do it, you better act on it. God is not going to keep giving it to you, just for free. He wants you to
Yeah.
use it so you can bring glory to that, to him and whatever you're doing, So that's what I say. That gut feeling, that gift that Adia said, same thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. And Ty, last word in terms
Man,
of
I
this
can't.
topic. Yeah.
Gotcha. I can't stand going after all of y'all, man, because y'all all making such good points. Now I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I gotta say something really cool now. What can I say? But
Come on,
one
Chris.
of the
I mean, come
things,
on, Ty.
I know. One of the things I would always tell somebody that's, trying to find their passion is, don't let anybody define it for you. If your passion is something small, if you just want to, feed the homeless in the park every weekend, if that's your passion, then that's your passion, right? But I will say, one of the sayings I have is, you don't have to change the world. Sometimes you can just change a world. And by changing a world, you change the world. And the
Mm-hmm.
example I'll give is this. There's a young man that he used to live in our neighborhood, and he was a little scrawny kid. He had a paper route, and on Sundays he could barely deliver his papers. And I would go really early to his house, roll up the papers, and I would drive him along his paper route. And years later, he called me and said, "Hey, I've never forget that you did that. You're my mentor, all those things." And so fast forward to maybe a week or two ago, this young man was actually on the Kelly Clarkson show. He started he started this big crops. It's called Crop Swap LA. You guys can look him up. His name is Jemiah Hargans, right? At one time, they put a big mural of his face on the side of the Adidas headquarters. And, so what I'm getting at, and what he does is he's created all these micro farms all across LA to feed the neighborhoods and stuff. I mean, and it's big. At the beginning of the pandemic, the mayor of LA shouted him out. So I'm just, again, it doesn't matter how small you're moving, just move, right? And in your passion. And eventually, if it's God's plan for it to get bigger, it's going to get bigger. So don't think that your plan is too small or your passion is too small. That's it.
I appreciate that. And my big mantra around this is do what you love and love what you do. I mean, if you keep that in mind, right, I think everything else will come. That's where you find the purpose. When you're doing what you love and loving what you do, somewhere in that space, your purpose is going to be defined. You'll see it become clarity. You'll get clarity around that. So that is, keep pushing. Gone are the days of just to be doing stuff, right? Tomorrow's not promised to any of us. And I know for me, I know I want to really be living a life on purpose and to bless others. That is I feel like that's what I do with my best everyday coaching and consulting, and the things that I engage in has to align. If it doesn't align with me being able to do that, I don't do it. I say no, which is a whole nother kind of topic, the power of no. Whole other conversation about that. Quickly, 1 minute, less than 1 minute. What do you have going on that you like people to know about? Tiffany, what you got going on?
I just ordered my second shipment of books, and I will be mailing them out next week. So I'm excited about that. The Blueprint for Forward Progress. This is my first book, and I will be writing some ebooks to follow this. I'm excited about it because, like I told you all, over the last 25 years or so, God has just shown me why he did some things. He showed me his blueprint. And I want to share it with everybody so that you don't just waste time wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I doing the right thing? Why is God allowing this? If you are in tune and you take everything that he is doing to be valuable, then you will be able to walk into that purpose and in it. So I want to help people with this blueprint, and it is available on my website, tiffanybargeman.com/book. Don't go to Amazon because they will take all my royalties. I don't want that. tiffanybargeman.com/book. And it also is on ebook now. One day it will be on audiobook. I do plan to narrate my book. So that's what I got going.
Thank you. And I'm going to put links for whatever you guys talk about. I'm going to put the links and a thank you message. So I'll make sure I do that. Ty, what you got going on?
Yeah, so Griot and Grits is my attempt to preserve Black family histories. We do oral recordings or videos of people telling their family stories, augment that with AI, and we're building a searchable repository of those stories and getting data from all those stories. For instance, let's say you want to learn about the economic effects of COVID on the African-American community. We'll, use information from databases for that, as well as combine it with the stories that we get. Or if you want to hear about people and their reactions during the Martin Luther King assassination, we can do that. If you want to find out more about how we're doing that, even if you want to volunteer, we're still looking for volunteers in all kinds of different areas. You can check us out on griotandgrits.org, and that's GRIOT and grits.org. And I'm probably going to get booted because my laptop is dying because somebody forgot to bring their cord.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, I will make sure, again, your website as well. Make sure that
Thank you.
we share that.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Next, Shalaya, and I'm gonna do a screenshot real quick since you might get cut off. Go ahead, Shalaya.
You do it now while I'm smiling, right?
Uh-huh. All right, go ahead.
So currently leading Becoming a Chiefess, going to let out a second edition, probably the end of next month, God willing, there's nothing else in my way. If you want to work with me as VP of Partnerships and Strategic Initiatives at Walker Miller Energy Services, I'm on LinkedIn, find me, get connected, all the things.
Yeah, I will share your link as well. Chris, I know you have something going on tomorrow night.
Yeah, I do. So yeah, so I just released a new body of work. It's an EP deluxe entitled GO2. As I mentioned, GO stands for Good Energy Only. It's a more mid to up tempo type of flow, but it's R&B, and it's feel good music. I think it's nourishing for our folks because the songs up there that we can play at the family reunions and just have a good time together. It's something up there. I have a song entitled Solid where it relates to a lot of people that we deal with sometimes are not true to themselves. They're fake, they're phony. And you have to be able to distinguish those people and know how to deal with them. And who actually to keep around in your circle. So solid is something that I think a lot of people are gravitating to. The music insiders that I listen to it, they really favor that one. I have a song, it's R&B, but it's line dance. It's a line dance song that I'm going to be coming up with. I just had my friend, she created this line dance. It's crazy. It's not Southern soul sound. It doesn't sound like a liquor house song, but it's hot. But I'm making it as part of that, that new line dance movement. And the new song that I have, I just released a new video last Friday, and as of this morning, it had over 40,000 views. So as an independent artist, that's pretty huge. It's called To the Sky. It's called To the Sky, and it's really me talking to God about what I'm dealing with mentally, but we all go through storms, so everybody can relate to it. So it's about being in a storm and knowing that the sun is coming out. You know what I mean? So not dwelling in it, but we already predicting that the sun is going to come out. So that's what To the Sky is about. And then it's got, it's got some songs of there, relationship building and things of that nature. So it's really cool. And I also, I manage my son. His name is Chris Feed. He's 22 years old. He has a new EP out entitled Special. He's got a little bit more swag than me. You know what I mean? But he has a lot of listeners on Spotify, probably at least 1,500 a month, along with other platforms as well. But he's doing this thing, and we're both performing tomorrow for a community event, giving back. It's like a community mixer. So I'll be presenting myself on stage for the first time quite some time, because I've had some health issues over the past few years, but I decided to go ahead and, take these offers to get back on stage, and we're gonna make it do what it do.
That's it.
I could be and it's under my alias. This actual EP is called RNB Terrell. That's what my alias is, and it's GO2. So it should be it's on all the platforms except for Apple Music. Apple Music's dragging their feet. It usually take another week. So I'm hoping that it's on there tomorrow, but that's the only platform.
I'll share your links. Right now. So I'll share your links, Chris.
Yeah,
I'll share your links.
But I'm thankful. I know that's way more than a minute. So
I'm gonna be Sandman in a minute. I'm like Sandman. I'll be like Sandman. You got it, Chris. Adia, what you got going on? We already lost time.
Hi, everybody. So, goodness gracious. So I'm actually taking new clients where we have a couple of things going on the consulting side, working with brands on helping them develop strategies to catapult them into the next chapter of their life, and the next generation for their work. But then on an event side, and we're consulting events, we're actually launching two things, our own podcast that's going to be talking about generations of conversations, not exactly what we're doing here, but a little bit more storytelling getting people to tell their story, because there's so many conversations that need to happen. There's some recipes that haven't been passed down. There's some intergenerational conversations between Gen Z and Gen X that need to happen, the baby boomers as well. So there'll be some conversations on the podcast. And then from an event perspective, we'll be launching a new dinner series, a curated dinner series that features nostalgic music called Beano and Vinyl, that will be doing a road show and a tour. So we're excited about those things.
You got some people in the mix.
We got the people in the mix. So we'll be reaching out to a number of you, because we also do an authors series during some we do author activations during some of the conferences that we do for our clients. So we'll be reaching out to both Tiffany, Saleha, and Ty as well. So looking forward to it. So
Vino and Vinyl. All right, Chris. DeVal.
So I'm back in my PR media music bag now. My cousin, who I manage and do a lot of her public relations, she just released a project last week. So I'm just going hard trying to get those out to the different blogs and playlisters and all that good stuff. So I know, Chris, you know how that stuff goes when it comes to trying to convince people to put good music on their platforms. So just trying to probably get her some shows here locally again. We've had some success a couple of years ago. She took a couple of years off from music, but just trying to promote her. Her name is Nello Lucci, NELLOLUCHI, on all platforms. And I have a bunch of alumni events coming up next month. I have an alumni event here in New York City. Yeah, go UB. I have another alumni event that we're planning for October up in Buffalo, since I have to be there because I currently sit on the board of directors for the Alumni Association. So I have to be up there for meetings anyway. So why not do an event while I'm there? And I'm available.
Did Atlanta happen?
Atlanta. We're gonna move to next year.
Okay.
Atlanta does have a founders event next month as well. So it's the same day. So all the major cities have the same Founders Day event. I'm available for any kind of event consulting as well. I feel like my niche is high school, college reunions. I just know how to really talk to folks and get people back together. And
Cool. And y'all, I am a career, life, and executive coach. So is anyone needing some help with figuring out your passion and how to make it happen? Definitely hit me up, www.mybesteveryday.com. And on that note, y'all, I want to say thank you to everyone who has tuned in. We appreciate you. Guests, I really, really appreciate y'all. And I love the fact that you guys have been networking. Look, since Monday, for the first touch point, y'all already networking, figuring out how to collaborate, which is one of the things that I love about this podcast, is that guests have been known to do that. So I'm going to put you all in the green room. I don't know if Ty's going to come back on, but I'm going to sign you all off. Just wait for me to come back, y'all, if you don't mind. But listen, y'all, I really appreciate you. I am going to take a break from my podcast for next month. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm going to do just that. Just take care of myself for next month. But I will replay some of my mental health episodes during the month of May. June, I'm coming back with a very special guest. June is Men's Mental Health Month, and I have a fabulous guest who's going to be joining me to talk about the topic that I think are going to be really relevant to men. So men out there finally doing something dedicated to specifically to you. So definitely join me for that. And on that note, y'all, have a great rest of your week. Happy Friday Eve, and enjoy your weekend, y'all. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.